Hello, namaste, and how have all of you all been? Hope the week has been kind to you. And so, welcome to yet another episode of A Little Sin, A Little Mess. And this is me, Seema. And so, today I'm going to begin this episode by asking each of you all a question. Are we getting pickier as we age? Last week, I caught up with a very dear friend of mine for a cup of coffee. And the entire conversation through the coffee was about this, about whether we are getting pickier, whether we are getting more difficult as people would think we are. She told me about a dinner invitation that she had turned down. It was nothing dramatic. It was one of those dinners that was organized by a few of her friends. A bunch of nice people have met them, so I know they're really nice people. It was a totally fine plan. But she said, I found myself not wanting to go. She paused and thought, if I go, I'll be tired, I'll be polite, I'll smile, and I'll come home wishing I'd stayed in. And so she declined and immediately felt guilty, as we all often do when we say no to something that we are expected to turn up to. It's a very common feeling. I've gone through that a couple of times when I've had to say no to something. She told herself she was becoming too boring, perhaps, too selective, too picky. That same evening, she had stayed home. She cooked something simple, played the kind of music that she really loved, sat back with a good book just before she went off to sleep. And she said it was the kind of quiet night that made her breathe deeper. When she woke up the next morning, she said something had clicked because I realized that I didn't miss the dinner. I missed the version of me that used to feel bad for choosing myself. And that's when she realized that she hadn't really lost her spark. She had just stopped spending it everywhere. And so many of us have probably caught ourselves saying this. I know I have. I just don't have the patience for this anymore. Whether it's about people, about plans, about noise, about restaurants. Isn't it true? Don't you tell yourself, oh no, I just don't have the patience for this anymore. And then immediately wondered, wow, am I getting picky or old or both? We've been conditioned to believe that being easygoing is a virtue, that flexibility equals kindness, that saying yes to everything means you're fun, makes you popular. But here's the truth. When we are younger, we say yes because we're exploring. We're trying to enjoy our lives. We're trying to meet new people, make new plans, go to new places. But when we get older, we say no because we are aware. And that's not pickiness. That's pattern recognition. You've lived enough of your life to know what drains you, what lights you up, and what just isn't worth the energy exchange anymore. And that's not being difficult, that's just being honest. Think about food or wine. Nobody judges a wine expert for having a refined palate. No one says, wow, you're so picky about coffee. We call that taste. And life works the same way. After enough bad relationships, bad dates maybe, forced friendships, exhausting jobs, awkward social obligations, your nervous system finally learns. You start choosing depth over drama, calm over chaos, quality over quantity. And you don't want more, you just want better. And better doesn't mean perfect, it means aligned. And here's where people get it wrong. They think being picky means shutting the world out. Real maturity doesn't make your world smaller, it just makes it clearer. Boundaries are not meant to be walls, but they're filters. They're meant to let the right people in. They protect your peace, they give you space to enjoy what you actually choose. And you want to know the beautiful part? When you stop saying yes to what doesn't fit, you finally have room for what does. There's something quietly powerful about knowing what you like and not apologizing for it. You don't need everyone to agree. You don't need to explain every choice. You don't need to force yourself to belong. That confidence doesn't come from arrogance. It comes from self-trust. You've survived enough to know you'll be okay. You've learned enough to choose wisely. You've grown enough to walk away without guilt. And that's not pickiness, my friend. That's self-respect. So if you've been worried that you're getting too selective, too guarded, or too particular, try this instead. You're not harder to please, you're harder to waste. Your time matters, your energy matters, and your joy absolutely matters, and frankly should. Growing older doesn't make you smaller, it makes you truer. And honestly, that's something worth being picky about. So here's to each one of you having a fabulous week, hopefully making the choices that really matter to you, hopefully making enough time to choose wisely and not feel guilty about it. Take good care of yourselves, everyone, and we'll speak to you again next week. Bye for now.